Hello, Dr. Joe here. In today's video, 10 top foods that are relatively high in vitamin D. That is what we're going to be talking about. But before we do, a quick plug. By the way, there's a caveat coming up at the end of this very video, so please stick around because you need to know about it. So, quick plug. This is my book on managing high blood pressure with lifestyle approach. This is the second edition of this very book. Links to get a book right below this very video. I also want to let you guys know that this very book has actually won the Literary Titan Award. It tells you how good this book is. So please do get yourself a copy because it is the best book on the subject. And I mean that. So, foods that are high in vitamin D. Let's get right in. The first one is mushrooms. Now, in mushrooms, there is a compound that is called ergosterol. When UV rays, ultraviolet rays, hit the mushrooms, this ergosterol is converted to vitamin D2. So, that's what I've said here. UV rays hitting the mushrooms, you end up with vitamin D2 from the ergosterol. So, what does this mean for you? Well, it means that if you go to your local supermarket and you see a packet of mushrooms labeled as UV radiated, well, go for that very packet because you're going to get relatively high amounts of vitamin D from those mushrooms. Or if the mushrooms are sun-dried, also get those as well because you're going to get vitamin D from them. I've also said here DIY. There is nothing stopping you from radiating your own mushrooms with the rays of the sun. Okay, you can place your mushrooms by the windowsill, open the windows, let the sun rays hit the mushrooms, and of course, you're going to get more vitamin D from your mushrooms, or just take them outside as well. You can sun dry your mushrooms yourself. So, DIY mushrooms, you get more vitamin D too. So, that is food number one. Let's move on to food number two, and that is herring. Herring, there are three types. You've got a fresh Atlantic herring. You've also got a pickled herring. And you've got a canned herring. Any of those three, fine. And how much vitamin D can you expect to get from your herring? 170 international units of vitamin D from 3.5 ounces, which is 100 grams of your herring. Okay? So that is food number two. Let's move on to food number three. Eggs. Now, as far as eggs are concerned, it depends on what the chickens ate, okay? Because how much vitamin D you're going to get from your eggs depends on what the chickens were fed. If they were fed a diet that was rich in vitamin D, then of course you should expect a high level of vitamin D from the egg yolk. If, however, the chickens were fed a diet that was poor in vitamin D, then obviously you're not going to get a lot of vitamin D. So that's what I've said here. It all depends on what the chickens ate. How much vitamin D you're going to get depends on that. Let's move on to food number four. And that is salmon. There are two types. There is the wild caught salmon and there is the farmed salmon. How much vitamin D you get will depend on which one is available from your fishmonger or from your local supermarket. But by and large, the wild caught salmon will give you more vitamin D. That's what the arrow is saying there. And how much vitamin D can you expect on the average from your salmon? Well, 3.5 ounces, which is 100 grams of salmon, will supply you with 500 international units of vitamin D. So that's food number four. Let's move on to food number five, anchovies. The good thing about anchovies is that they are relatively low in the food chain, which means you're not going to get a lot of mercury from consuming anchovies. So that's a good thing. But how much vitamin D can you expect from your anchovies? Well, 69 international units of vitamin D from 3.5 ounces of your anchovies. Okay? So that's food number five. Let's move on to food number six. Sardines. Okay, foods rich in vitamin D. Sardines. There are three types. You've got the sardines that are canned in oil. You've got the sardines that are canned in water. And you got the sardines that are canned in brine. Brine is salt water, okay? How much vitamin D you're going to get from your sardines will depend on the type. But generally speaking, the sardines that are canned in oil will give you more vitamin D, okay? So that's food number 6. Let's move on to food number 7. So what is food number 7? It is mackerel, okay, mackerel. You got 3 types here. You've got the Atlantic cod mackerel, you've got a canned mackerel, or you've got the smoked mackerel. It doesn't matter which one you choose, you're going to get some vitamin D from your mackerel. I like the smoked mackerel, I have to say, love it a lot. And of course the canned one too. I do buy the canned ones. And how much vitamin D can you expect from your mackerel? A lot actually. 1,000 international units of vitamin D per 3.5 ounces, 100 grams of your mackerel. So not bad. Very, very good source of vitamin D. So that's number 7. What's food number 8? It is tuna. And of course with tuna you can get it fresh or canned. And how much vitamin D can you expect from your tuna? 82 international units of vitamin D from 3.5 ounces or 100 grams of your tuna, okay? But just be careful with tuna. You don't want to eat too much of it because it's relatively high in mercury. So that is tuna, number 8. What is number 9 food that you can get vitamin D from? It is trout. Trout is the brother of salmon. They are brothers. And you know, your trout will also supply you with vitamin D. And for 3.5 ounces, 100 grams of your trout, you should expect to get about 635 international units of vitamin D, okay? So that's food number 9. Let's move on to food number 10, the very last one. The caveat is coming up shortly. Food number 10 will be the fortified foods. There are lots of foods that come fortified with, vitamin D. So what are they? Well, you've got the plant-based milk, like the soy milk, the oat milk, the hazelnut milk, the cashew nut milk. A lot of them do come fortified with vitamin D. Just read the label and it will tell you if there's vitamin D in it or not. You've got the breakfast cereals. Not very good choice, I have to say, because it's highly processed. And then you've got the processed milk and fat spreads from plant oils, okay? So those are your fortified foods where you can get some vitamin D from. So let's talk about the caveat. This is something that I said earlier in the video, and it's important you take note of this. And it is the fact that really you should not be relying on foods for your vitamin D, okay? The foods, they don't hurt. You're going to get some vitamin D from them, but foods are not a reliable source of vitamin D. Your number one source is the sun. In the absence of the sun, supplements number 2, and then foods come third, okay? So if you're not getting the sun, then of course you need to take your supplements, and you can eat the foods. The foods are not going to hurt you, but they're not a reliable source of vitamin D. I really needed to say this, okay? So I'm hoping that you got some value from this very video. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. Please like the video, and also please share this video with your friends, family and colleagues. Questions, comments down below as usual. I think that's it for today's video. Until next time, well, this is Dr. Joe signing out.